first roll and just let it go. And so he didn't receive any type of injury, but it could have been a very negative outcome, simply because he was, one, riding off trail, which is bad enough, and then two, rolled a machine being off trail and is super lucky to escape with no injuries in doing so. And so, like you said, we're always taking a risk when we go in the backcountry. Um, but you can further your risk if you do things that are, or make bad decisions, basically.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys keep what? You've adopted how many trails? 12?
Um, yeah, so we actually have 15 now. Um,
Hey.
we've adopted a couple in the Gunnison district, which is new for us. We've worked mostly in the Salida and Leadville districts in central Colorado, and we adopted a couple new ones, and so we're working in the Gunnison district. So we're up to 15 adopted trails now.
That's good. And what kind of importance does some of your events like 14er Fest, does that help grow your volunteer program and your coverage, or
Yeah,
um,
it does. We use that as just some of our outreach, giving people information, telling them what we do, who we are, and why we're in existence. So you're meeting the end user at those types of events, which is really awesome. And then we created 14er Fest to try and do what I call bridging the gap between user groups, or what I call going back in time a little bit before, user groups were segregated out in terms of, description and orientation. So, like I said, when I grew up, we just went into the mountains. We were just, mountain users, mountain men, just recreationalists, mountaineers, whatever you want to call it. We didn't identify with any one user group. We just went out and did things that were enjoyable in the mountains. And most of the time that involves some type of motorized travel to get to an access point. And all of that is still happening. If you climb a 14er, I guarantee you drive on a Forest Service road somewhere to get to a trailhead to climb a 14er. And so most people would say, well, I'm just a hiker. Well, you're kind of a mixed user, because somehow you access that 14er trailhead, and some of them are much more remote than others. Or I'm a fisherman, and I'm like, yeah, but you're not walking from your house to a lake to go fishing. Somehow you've got some mode of travel to get where you're going. And so 14er Fest was meant to highlight that and provide what I call crossover events, where we actually do go access a high lake, and we call it a 4x4 and a fishing trip, because we're kind of blending two uses together, and we're kind of connecting the dots for people so that they understand that, you may not be a 4x4 enthusiast, but if that road that we went to that lake on gets closed, then your opportunity to fish there is impacted negatively. And so 14er Fest was created to kind of highlight those issues, bring that to the forefront, that we all sometimes suggest that we're in different user groups, but we're all not that different when it really comes down to it. And search and rescue doesn't discriminate against a user group. Like, they rescue everybody, motorized, non-motorized users. They're just out there for people that are playing in the backcountry. And so we support our local SAR group with 14er Fest, and then all of our local trail adopter groups that participate in 14er Fest as well.
and it seems like the future of 4x4 trails is pretty good. I was looking at your Facebook page earlier today. There was some legislation that was going to be passed to get rid of some funds for trail maintenance. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we have Corey Gardner right now has some legislation that he's been working on. And so the Outdoor Conservation Fund, it's known by a couple different names, in the federal government, was money earmarked for land managers in land agencies that could, apply for that to do different recreation-based projects federally. So it could be in any state. And the program was so successful and so well funded that some senators started raiding that fund to do, pork-based projects in their own districts. And so, at the federal level, what they're looking at is to basically earmarked that it can only be used by land managers and agencies to do what it was intended to do, and cannot be opened up to be used in other areas as different funds. And so, Corey is represented from Colorado and has been working on that, and there seems to be decent level of support federally for that, which would be very good, because then the funding is intact. And then locally, in the Colorado specifics, that OHV fund that I spoke about earlier, that is derived of people buying OHV tags to be able to ride their equipment on designated roads and trails. Governor Polis was actually looking at that to help balance the state's budget after the COVID shutdowns and the loss of tax revenue and everything, the domino effect of that. And Colorado Off-Highway Vehicle Coalition and a number of other motorized groups were successfully able to counter that, and that is no longer an option. And so while, unfortunately, there's a lot of programs that are suffering from the COVID shutdown, what was proposed is that all of that money that was earmarked for trails be then used to help balance the budget in certain areas. And enough people said that, it's hard. We're all going to have to make cuts places, but it then our public lands would really suffer when more people than ever are recreating out right now, because literally everything that would compete with their time is shut down. So this is really not the time to cut funding to public lands. So that was successfully argued against, and at least as of right now, they are no longer considering using OHV funds to balance the state's budget.
But you can count that as a victory, because you're right. There's nothing really to do outside of going out and taking a hike or going fishing. So you guys did a net good there, that's for sure.
Yeah, we were really happy to see that.
How can people help or volunteer? I know you can sign up for a volunteer thing on Corps' site, but are there other ways that people can help?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I get a lot of questions like that. What can I do? Maybe I'm out of state. Maybe I can't go volunteer on your, crazy projects where we're shoveling out a road at 12,000 feet. And that's fine. What people can do that helps us the most is sharing information and helping us, broadcast the advocacy work and how to behave on public lands when people are out there. That is a huge part of what is going on, is just making people aware of what's happening, how you should act, and just staying up to date on the day-to-day and year-to-year issues facing trails and closures. That's the biggest thing. I mean, the outdoor industry is huge, and the motorized user and the amount of money generated for the economy is massive, and the user group is huge. Just a lot of them don't know what's going on. And so by following our social media, all of our stuff is basically at Keep Trails Open. So if you want to follow us on Instagram, you want to follow us on Facebook, and you search at Keep Trails Open, that's where you will find us. Our website is also keeptrailsopen.com. And so we've made it pretty easy that our mission statement is, basically involved in all of our social media outlets and our information outlets. And if you follow what we do, if you share important information updates, we put out land use updates, we put out closure updates, we put out, like you said, in some cases, requests for volunteers. We put out, legal information sometimes if something's going on. We put out federal and state legislative issues if there's something going on. And the more people that are aware, the more people can do something. Until a lot of the motorized user groups shined a light on it, nobody even knew that the OHV money in Colorado could be used to balance the budget. And once people knew, then everybody was like, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. And had there been no, groups highlighting that, then nobody would have known to do anything. And so that's where the masses of people that are good people that want to help and do the right thing can really help us, is just always being aware of what's going on, sharing that information so that your friends, your family, your clubs, if you're from out of state and you're a user, can know what's going on in Colorado, that helps us immensely.
All right. Well, I've ran out of things I need to talk about. Is there anything else you want to say just to kind of tidy everything up, or
Um, no, I would just summarize that. Like I said, we're not involved in any one thing. We're not, like your typical off-road club or Jeep club. Certainly we get together and we go out and do things, but it's not like a car club. That's not the goal, is for us to get together and go out and run a trail and come back. I call us an action group, more so than a club, because, we're here to keep trails open. We do things, whatever it takes. We will go out and clean up trash. We'll go out and repair damage. We'll go out and, recover a wrecked ATV that was off the trail that we don't want out there rotting, spilling gas or oil or anything out in the environment. We'll recover vehicles. We'll adopt trails. We'll, do good stewardship work and education. So whatever it takes to keep public lands in good condition and keep access points, that's what we're here for. And so, if you share that same love for public lands, anybody out there, then, follow our stuff and let's all work on it together.
I know I'm new to Colorado, but I'm glad there are groups like yours out there to keep this state as awesome as it is.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Thanks for, contacting me and having me on. It's great to talk to anybody else that likes to go in the back country and talk about public land issues.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm learning a lot for sure.
I bet.
Hey, Marcus, thanks for talking to me. It's been great, and in the future, if there's anything you guys do that's particularly interesting or some big achievement, be sure to get a hold of me and we'll talk about it.
Will do. Thank you, Zach. It's been nice talking to you, and we'll stay in touch for sure.
Appreciate it, Marcus.
Thanks.
Bye. I'd like to thank Marcus for taking the time to sit down and speak with me about his organization. It was very insightful, very informational, and I hope you guys got as much out of it as I did. Again, their website is keeptrailsopen.com. You can go there, donate, you can adopt a trail, help them keep their efforts moving forward. Also, as always, I'd like to thank T.R. Beery for the intro music. He's my best friend, he's a great musician, and he made the whole thing possible. He really did. For more information about 12 Hike, be sure to visit and like our Facebook page, 12 Hike, or you can see us on Instagram, 12 Hike Challenge. Thanks, have a good day.